Okay, thank you very much. All right, and thank you. And we're starting another the November meeting of the Community Board 2 Landmark and Land Use Committee. I think Karen Johnson's there. Karen, I didn't see a name, but I assume that she's there. Yes, I see you. Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay. And Karen's our secretary. She'll be doing this today for about 45 minutes. And then Daughtry Christopher will then take over, who's our co-chair. Thank you. And I'm Carlton Gordon. All right, so we have our quorum. Thank you very much. At 6:04 p.m. First, we'll be starting with a non-voting presentation for a mandatory inclusionary housing over on 52 4th Avenue. I'd like to try to see if we can get that done as relatively quickly as possible so that we can then get the LPCs in while we still have Karen taking the minutes so we can get those in. So I'd like to get, one of the things that we'll be asking for also the change on the agenda, not so much that we're taking anything out, but we're going to move something around. It's been requested to move 8 Montague Terrace up to the first Landmark Preservation Commission application, since the applicants people are in London right now, speaking of our travels, and they will be doing it. So they asked to try to do that first. And I think we will ask if there's no objection, we'll move that up to the first application. And then we'll do the other 2 afterwards. And
John, do no objection, but we should get chat sheet from London.
Okay, well, let's hope so. Thank you. All right. All right, thank you. So we'll move the Montague Terrace up to the first Landmark Preservation Commission certificate. All right, so let's like to get started over on 52 4th Avenue. This is it's a proposal. There's no voting, so that's one of the reasons I like to not spend too much time in it, but we'll give a discussion. And it's a 12-story proposed 12-story building at 4th Avenue by around Dean Street, and they're proposing out of 79 units. 19 units will be for moderate income, or low income rather, and 1 unit for moderate income. We have Joseph Martin, sorry, and we have Giddy of the Metropolitan. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yes.
I apologize. Can we get an acceptance of the amended agenda? Okay, I know we had one individual say he didn't disapprove, but we haven't had a motion to accept.
The amendment, I would say that's been, okay, well, second, and it's been carried, and the agenda has been accepted. And also, while you're here, and I do want to start on this, if there's no objection, we'll do Karen's minutes. Thank you, Karen, for taking the minute. If there's no objection, the minutes from the October meeting will be adopted. Thank you.
So moved.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let's move over to 52 4th Avenue and give it's a early presentation, and we'll ask the presenters for 52 4th Avenue to start. I'd like to try to do it if we can do it as succinct as possible, so we can do the other items as in a quicker manner. Thank you. Good. Are you here right now? Are the presenters from Metropolitan Realty here for 52 4th Avenue?
Are Ms. Stessel or Mr. Joseph on the line? Okay, we may have to come back to them. I do recommend we address this in
Okay.
committee, Mr. Gordon, because there were several public comments on this one.
Okay, well, we'll try to keep it, we will do it, but okay. All right, well, let's start going over to the Landmark Preservation Commission certificates of appropriateness. As I said, we've moved up 8 Montague Terrace in Brooklyn Heights to our first one. This one is a lot of work that's being done in the rear of the building that's facing the Brooklyn Heights Promenade and can be seen from the public ways. There's work that's being done on a number of, let's say, not only just big, let's say trees are going to do some work on the landscaping in the area, and they want to do some work on, also areas, and they want to do so that the trash bins, large bins can be placed around in and around the building as well. So we'll ask for the 8 Montague Terrace to begin their presentation.
Hi all, this is Julia from Arnie Menard Garden Design. We are the landscape architect assigned to design the backyard and the front at 8 Montague Terrace. I'm not familiar with this, so I apologize if I make any mistakes, but am I allowed to share the screen and show the project or?
Yes,
Yes, go ahead.
Tyler, do you want to help in sharing the screen?
Okay, I can do that. I'm allowed.
Yes, you should have share screen privileges probably at the bottom of your screen.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you.
Looks great.
So we put together a booklet, which I believe was distributed to everyone. And I'm going to start with the front as one of the notes we received was the size of the trash enclosure. We don't have any, we did propose these dimensions because if we are allowed to have 3 trash cans, we could always use one as a storage. However, we are very flexible and we are open to change these dimensions if needed. We are suggesting to also have possibly the roof of the trash enclosure as a green roof, so we could apply sedum and just improve the wildlife as well. I've seen a few along the street, they do have a green roof as well, so it could be quite nice to tie them in as well. This structure will not be attached to the walls or to the balustrade. They will always have a space and nothing is fixed, so they can be removable. We want to make sure to not obstruct anything about the building or the balustrade at the front. And this one is let me just show the elevation. We are proposing to have the trash enclosure lower than the top of the balustrade, as we are showing on this elevation on the top right. And we are also suggesting to have a freestanding planter with a small specimen tree and some ground cover underneath. Gonna move on the back. This is the backyard, how it was, how it stands at the moment. Obviously, a lot of construction is happening on the facade of the backyard. As you can see, it was very exposed from the public. However, once the tree, they would have developed, which they haven't, they would have probably overgrown up to the metal fencing. What we would like to propose is to improve the wildlife and the environment on the backyard. We are not, again, we are constructing a wall but it will not be attached to the building. And we are going to make sure to preserve the stability of the building, any characteristics of the building without touch the brickwork. The idea is to have free dry stack stone wall at 1.5 feet, which can be used as a bench as well. The dry stone wall will allow us to create plants pocket, so we can create a green wall as well with possibly ferns. We are suggesting a free drain paving pattern with reclaimed stone, and the stone paving will have grass joints and it will not be set in mud, but it will be a free drain construction detail. We are suggesting to add a few trees and topiaries, and eventually all the shrubbery we are showing on this side will be low shrubs. So we are talking about between 2 and 3 foot high. At the moment, there is along the 2 metal balustrade either side, there is some climbers, which we are hoping to keep it and add additional climbers. Again, we are trying to attract as many as wildlife as possible in terms of butterflies and bees by adding quite a lot of flowers. We do the change of level, which is 18 inches. We are just suggesting to create a nice grass bank with no hard material, just a very soft adjustment in the ground. And I'm just gonna, you can see the construction drawing, how we are thinking to build the wall. So obviously the wall will have a concrete footing, but other than that, we are not planning to use any concrete. And this is a suggestion, but again, we are not restricted. We want to do as much as we can to not going against anyone or the public as well. So at the back, we were suggesting dry stone, same as the one at the front, with plants pocket. I'm going to show you some inspirational images that I'm sure we do have. These will give you an idea of the elevation in terms of shrubbery and climbers on the metalwork. The type of material we are looking for: reclaimed sandstone paving, again on sand. And this is just an inspirational images in terms of materials. So this is the simple dry stone with the Pennsylvania stone, and the idea is to plant all of these pockets. We have done before and they're really successful. And then what we are trying to achieve with the paving is the top right image here. The next image is we try to show you how the public will view the project once it's completed. I took a couple of pictures on summer and winter. The summer season, as you can see with the climbers, as it stands at the moment, the public can't really see because it's pretty fully covered by the shrubbery parked on the promenade and also the climbers. Winter time, it will be more visible, obviously, because most of the plants are deciduous. However, we are thinking to have trees and shrubs which might not affect in terms of we are not going to obstruct the view. It will still give some visibility from the promenade. And then we had attached a few lighting plants. just to show the intent of the lighting. Please let me know if there is any other questions or how it works.
Yeah, I was curious where the new security lights and string lights would go. Where would you place those?
So there are two lights, two sconce light either side of the door, here and here, I think. And then we got tiny down light, up light for the trees, which they're the one highlighted below. And then the client was thinking to have some like the fairy lights, but they will be used just in case if they have a party or the kid is having a birthday party or there is a dinner. But you can see the elevation here. They are showing the lights, which they are existing on the facade of the building. We are just replacing the fixtures. So those are the lights. There are security lights. I think that's what you were asking.
Right, in addition, yes.
Yes, on the parlor floor. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit.
Mhm.
Which obviously will downlight and they should not face the public walk. Yeah, and then we did attach a pictures of I think 1940s when there was not a big tree at the front. Don't know if there are any questions or I need to go back and just reply any questions, any queries.
Okay, in addition, well, the Brooklyn Heights Association hasn't looked at it, and their representative asked either Daughtry or Karen to give a summary of what Judy sent an email on. I don't know if either one of you or both of you wanted to have it. If one of you can give the summary of the Brooklyn Heights Association concerns from Judy Stanton. If
I can read what she wrote if you'd like.
yeah, go ahead, Karen. Thank you.
They think the overall volume of the trash enclosures is too much. It's too wide and too high and too awkwardly situated, that they detract from the grandly designed stoop and balustrade. The smaller enclosure right up against the stoop clashes with most and seems entirely unnecessary. They think the bigger box should be entirely rethought, and the area room has lots of ways to come up with a better design. They do approve of environmentally conscious solutions for the backyard and for this area, but they haven't really come up with any comments on the rear yard yet. So the main objections right now seem to be the bulk of the trash cans in the front.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Thank you, Karen. It's this, and that's the concern. I think that was their biggest concern were the trash cans. So I think they're looking. They would like to
see those again from the presenter. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Let me just show it again. Sorry. So this is the concept, just showing an inspirational image of what we built before. And then the plan and the section. So that's what we are showing.
Do you have a rendering shot or anything that would kind of give us how it might actually look?
No, we don't. I mean, we can provide one, but we don't have like a full CGI, sorry.
Okay.
I mean, one thing I can say by looking what we have around is that these one, they're pretty dominant. And the good thing about a Montague Terrace is that it's quite lower, so it's less visible. And if we do have a green roof, it will definitely beneficial. That's
you-
my only my comment.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Do you have a picture of the front of the facade that we could take a look at?
I can definitely, sorry, I'm just going through and see if I have one. I definitely have one. If you just bear with me 1 second, I can definitely open it. As I have it. I was there last week, so. These has people in, but I think probably it does help a bit.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Julia, are they
sorry,
open to using wrought iron instead of timber and so that kind of blends in with the wrought iron fence and painting it black so it kind of looks like the same wrought iron finish?
There is no, are we talking about the front? Sorry.
Yes, like same garbage bin that we're speaking about. Because I think the wood brings so much attention to it.
Well, the idea is to paint as much as color near to match the color of the facade of the house. And the reason why we were suggesting timber is because it's lighter, longer life as well. And because the way how we have designed can have like the tray at the bottom can be removed, can be clean on the inside. It can kept quite tidy and clean.
Can I just suggest, in my own building, we have changed the timber 3 times because it rotted with the rain. And what we had done is put mesh wire below because rats become a problem going into the bins. So we have put mesh on all sides inside of the material that was used. But the black wrought iron metal blends in much better. If it's painted black, your wrought iron is black, isn't it? Because you haven't shown us the actual building, you're showing us other buildings.
Well, that's the building.
Oh, this is it. So your wrought iron is black or is it brown?
It's like a
I'm not-
brown, it's a brown-ish.
Yeah, well, I think if you use metal, you could suggest it to the owners, but and they use the mesh so that the rats don't get into it.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to have removable trays.
Thank you.
So the
there
trash
any other-
enclosure would be down on this second level where all the people are standing? Is that where
Yes,
you're located?
correct. So there is one bit on this side. Sorry, I'm trying to find better pictures, but obviously when I'm looking for better pictures, we are never.
Mm,
Um,
Just like a front on would be.
I got this one. I don't know if it helps, but basically one side, this is the one only enclosure, and then the 3 other one, they will be on the other side.
And they don't stick up above the rail there, right? They're.
Correct.
Yeah,
They are just up here. I'm trying to
Okay.
sketch on top.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any other questions or comments from committee members, board members? If there are none, and.
Sorry.
can-
I
Yeah, go
thought
ahead.
Daughtry- Yeah, I thought Daughtry was gonna go first, because she had her hand. raised.
Oh, I wasn't, yeah,
That's okay, go ahead.
okay,
Okay, cool. I'm just kind of
okay, we'll
curious.
go with Bill first. Yeah,
I'm curious, I didn't see, one of the things, and I'll state this to you, Chair Gordon. I've noticed that a lot of the backyards facing the promenade over the years have had a lot of changes. Each owner changes something, the next owner changes something, the next owner changes something. Do we have a tax photo of the back of the building?
of these.
Yes, of the back of the building, because I know that, I believe that building has had a lot of different changes to it.
I can show you what we had when we took over the project. And that's why I was showing the small hedges. Sorry, I'm trying to download it.
On that question, Bill, my hunch is that tax ID photos are usually the front.
Usually the front, and that's what I'm curious if
Yeah.
they had, but because it's against
Yeah.
it's facing the promenade, I was wondering if they actually ever took a photo of the back of it because it's facing the promenade.
Yeah,
Not sure if you know that or not?
I don't have an answer to that. If I need to look for it, I'm gonna look for it.
yeah, I mean, if you don't have it, you don't have it.
You don't have. I was just kind of curious if you did.
Yeah, yeah, my guess is that it probably was just, you know, they always put that, you know, number of the block and lot, you know, little sign in the front, and sometimes you see an old DeSoto or something like that next to the building, and that usually was the tax ID photo. I don't think they ever did a rear, even though it's on and the promenade is a relatively recent, I would say, for historic purposes, was relatively, it probably came after a lot of tax ID photos came, because that, you know, as they were building that part of the BQE. You know, that's my guess. All right,
just curious
Daughtry,
about
yeah, I'll go to Daughtry. Daughtry had her, had some comments.
Yes, thank you. I respect the, I'm talking about the front, the trash enclosures. I tend to agree with the Brooklyn Heights Association about the bulk of the enclosures themselves. I think one thing I noticed as well is that the building has those great balustrades all across the front of the building. And when you put a big trash enclosure in front of it, you no longer can see through those balustrades. And I think that that's a net negative. And I appreciate the fact that that you're trying to design these so that they aren't taller than those balustrades, and to sort of trick everyone's eyes by putting plants on top, which I really think is great. I'm not being facetious. That said, I would say that we all know what happens when there are not smart design oriented people thinking about solutions for trash and recycling. So I tend to want to support the application, but with a condition that that the applicant can continue to rethink and refine the design of the bulk of the trash enclosures at the front.
Is that a motion?
It is. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a
I'll
second?
I'll second.
Okay, okay. So we have a motion from Daughtry and seconded with, you know, suggested concerning the trash enclosures. Are there any other further comments or questions on this? Okay, hearing none. Karen, I guess we can start the roll.
Sure. Hazra Ali.
Yes.
Ernest is not here. Kari Bailey.
Yes.
Esther Blunt.
Yes.
Daughtry. Made the motion.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. John Dew.
Yes.
Bill Flanoy. Bill?
Sorry. Yes.
No
Yes.
problem. Carlton Gordon? Oh, sorry, you should
Yes.
be in. Yeah. That's,
Yeah, all right, yes, yes.
yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
Is Brian here yet?
I vote yes.
Yes, excellent. Myself, yes. Yvette Richardson?
Yes.
Is Judy here yet? I didn't see.
I
Maybe
don't
not.
think she's all right. She says she'll be late.
She's at the other meeting, yeah. And Cheryl
Yeah.
Williams? Do we have Cheryl? Yes.
Yes. Said yes.
Thank you very much. Awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. 0, 0.
Okay. All right, so that's our gift to you for, you know, from New York to London, you got what you on this one.
With the
8 Montague
condition.
Street. Yes, with the conditions. Yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carlton, 4th Avenue MIH folks are here.
Okay, all right, do we want, okay, so we'll do it. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we still want to get the others done, but we will take the presentation, a non-voting informative presentation on 52 Fourth Avenue from the Metropolitan Realty people. You can go right ahead.
Ms. Jessel or Mr. Joseph, we're going to need you to come off of mute, please. I believe these might be the folks joining us on the phone. Are you able to find your unmute button? Oh, there goes one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So basically, we are in the Gowanus rezoning area. We started construction prior to the rezoning, planning to do a regular building without the MIH bonus. Then when the rezoning happened, the rezoning was implemented into law, we were required to add the MIH, the mandatory inclusionary housing bonus, and the compliance with obviously the compliance with the rezoning requirements. So we will be adding additional.
Just by the way, you're Joseph Martin, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Martin Joseph, actually.
Yeah.
Martin Joseph, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We are complying with the requirements of the mandatory inclusionary housing. An application to HPD, to New York City Housing Preservation and Development, was submitted to obtain the additional FAR as required by law, by the zone code, and we are waiting for a closing with HPD in reference to the additional bonus of FAR. The AMIs that will be applied, I believe, is going to be a 80 AMI, the cap on the mandatory inclusionary housing. Gitty, are you on the line as well? My assistant, I believe that we are at 80 AMI. Could be it's 60 AMI. I have to check. I'm not sure if it's capped at 60 AMI. Could be that the 20% of the units are going to be 20% of the square footage is going to be capped at 60 AMI. And the additional 10% is going to be at 130 AMI. That's due to the 421A requirement of 30% of the unit mix, of the unit count.
Okay, so that's basically giving us a basic that these are the plans and that you hope to accomplish. I think Ms. Daughtry, I know you had a lot of questions and comments, so I'll turn that over to you now.
Thank you. I wouldn't say I have a lot, but I did notice in your application and in the narrative that you summarized the building as 55,000 gross square feet, 12 stories, 79 units overall, which we understand. But there was an overall gross square footage of 677,000 square feet. Can you explain that discrepancy? And it happened at least two times.
Which application are you looking at? HPD's application?
The one that was shared with the narrative that was shared in preparation for this discussion, and also the MIH application.
670. This is a gross mistake.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have to look at it.
There it is. I think maybe, do you have commercial on the ground floor, and did you mean 67,000 square feet?
I believe so. Yeah, 67,000. Yes, this makes sense. The first floor, yes, has commercial space, and there's an addition. There's a typo. Instead of 67,000, it says 670. Something is grossly mistaken.
Okay. Well, I wanted to get that clear. So, and in the process, you clarified that there will be retail on the first floor, fronting 4th Avenue.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Is it just zoning use group 6, general retail, local retail?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Those are all my questions, Carlton. I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Are there any other comments or questions from committee members and board members?
Sure.
regarding the
So,
52?
so
Yeah,
the,
go ahead, Karen.
the units we're looking at, we're going to be looking at 60% AMI and 80% AMI. Is that right?
60 AMI
Yeah.
and 130 AMI. 20% of the gross floor area will be allocated for MIH units, which are capped at 60 AMI. The additional 10% of the unit mix will be capped at 130 AMI.
So that's the one unit that's pretty much market rate, and then the other units are less, but 60 isn't deeply affordable. It's kind of mid-range, right?
Yeah, it's mid-range affordable. Really affordable is 40 and 30, so it's an average at 60 AMI. There are deeper AMIs as well, but it's an average. When I say 60
Okay.
AMI, I'm talking about an average of
Average.
60 AMI.
All right, thank you.
Correct.
That makes sense. Gotcha.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have-
Carlton, this is John. This is John Drew. I don't have
Go ahead.
any questions. I don't have any questions. My comment is that I would hope this committee at the end of this meeting has a few minutes to talk about affordable housing in Community District 2 and the percentages of AMI that are coming before this committee as compared with the community in which the housing is being built. That's my only comment.
Okay, well,
just
we'll put
wanna
you
add-
into the, for the comments section down towards later on in our meeting, and I'll call you up. All right.
I just want to
If
add
there are none-
something
Yeah.
in reference to the
Okay.
comment the gentleman has just made. What's your name, John?
Yes.
John, this is so important to the community because the market rate rents over there are extremely high. And when we're talking about 60 AMI, I would say it's like 25% of the market rate lease rents that you're getting over there. So it's really imperative to the area to get these AMIs. And this project that we're talking specific project is allocating 20% of the footage at an average of 60 AMI.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate that there is such a substantial focus on AMI. The committee needs to talk about AMI in the community district later. Thank you for your presentation.
I have a question for the presenter. Couldn't the 10% be at 100% AMI instead of 130?
It's the 421A has options that can select, and this one is 130 AMI. It's called option C of the 421A rules and regulations, and this is in addition to the 20% at an average of 60 AMI. So basically, it's option C, and they're giving 130 AMI. This is also much lower than the average rents over there in the area.
And can I ask what size apartments are these affordable housing going to be? Are they studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms?
It has to be compatible to the free market units. So if the free market units are 2 bedrooms, the 30% have to match the percentage average of the free market units. So it's compatible. If it's mostly 2 bedrooms or mostly 1 bedroom or mostly studios, it will match the free market units. That's part of the 421A rules and regulations. So you can't have free market units 2 bedrooms and provide studios or 1 bedrooms to the affordable units. It has to be compatible.
I think we understand that. Do you not know what the unit mix is? Can you share with that for?
I don't have it in front of me, but definitely I can provide it to the committee after the conversation. I can provide it in email or in writing, however the committee wants. But I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
I'll send it by email. Yes, I will do that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I see. Brian, I see. Oh, okay. When you're finished, go ahead, Daughtry.
I'm sorry. I just want to reiterate that there are a lot of the smaller units being constructed in the district, and we have a lot of families who are facing rental crisis. So I'm hopeful that you have a substantial number of at least 2 bedroom units. We'll see.
I I believe so. I believe so because, again, it has to be comparable based on the free market. And I believe so that, yes, if this is that's the reason why it has to be comparable, because if it's a geographic area that has families and they need 2 bedrooms, then the same has to be, when you provide the affordable, it must be the same unit mix as the free market. That's how the law is written.
Okay, actually, Brian Howland has his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to make a point. This is the construction site on the southwest corner of Dean Street and 4th Avenue, correct?
Correct, yes.
On several occasions when I've walked down Dean Street between 3rd and 4th, the construction barricades have not been properly placed. So there's an entrance to the construction site that's about maybe 50 feet west of 4th Avenue. And probably in order to get, vehicles in and out of the site in the past, that the barriers were moved. And so then there becomes a gap in the barriers, and from the gap in the barriers to where the construction site ends and people are then rerouted back onto the sidewalk, that space has been occupied by a car. So people, who are pushing a stroller, in a wheelchair, there's been an inability for people to sort of continue along the sidewalk there. So I would just ask that you maintain the ability for people to walk continuously on the sidewalk on the south side of Dean between 3rd and 4th, because that condition has sometimes fallen apart.
Definitely. We'll make a point out of it. I'll make sure that the contractor on the property is fully aware and make sure that he checks constantly that it should be done properly. Yes, thank you for alerting us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If there's no further comments or questions, first I'll thank Mr. Martin for his presentation, and hopefully we'll keep these things in mind when the formal presentation to the committee comes.
I just want to say it's a very tasteful building. I like it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. And I will provide the unit mix of the affordable to show the comparison of the free market to the affordable. I will do that. I will provide it in
That's
email.
very good. Yes, that's a priority matter with this committee and with the board. So it's
Yes.
that'll be most helpful. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph, I just wanted to bring to your attention a comment in the chat. The message reads, please be aware that a group of residents have formed a group called FOFA, 4th on 4th Avenue, that seeks to green and beautify the avenue. We hope that you can join this effort to create a pleasing streetscape.
Sure, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Karen, are you you have to leave now, or do you have more time? I guess Karen did leave. Okay, so
Thank you,
Daughtry,
everyone.
okay, are you ready? Yeah.
I'm leaving. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All the best.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, I just want to check now. Is Karen still in, or did she leave already? I guess she left already. Daughtry, can you take it from here?
You're on
Okay,
mute, Dorothy.
I got it. Yes.
I got it. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so Daughtry will be taking the minutes for the rest of the meeting. Thank you very much, Daughtry. And now we will return to our Landmark Preservation Commission certificates of appropriateness. And we're now going to go over to 36 Pierrepont Street, which is also in Brooklyn Heights. And basically they're looking to do a outdoor rooftop terrace with a, I guess, it'll be balustrades or so it'll be holding, so people have something to hold on to when they're up at the top. And they're also looking to do some work along, some brickwork at the front, metals, some of the metal work, and along with the terrace, work on the terrace as well. And of course it'll be visible from Hicks Street, because this will be at the top and people will be able to see it. So we are now turning it over to 36 Pierrepont Street to tell us what they have.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Brizzaru. I'm an architect practicing in Brooklyn, and I'm here to present to you our proposal for a rooftop terrace at 36 Pierrepont. I will go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, Taya, if you can help on that.
I think, am I up? Everyone, you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see
Very
36,
good.
we could see the 36 Pierrepont Roof Terrace.
Very good. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with this building at the corner of Pierrepont and Hicks Street. It's an 1846 building attributed to Richard Upjohn. The building has retains most of its original appearance. There have been some minor modifications over the years. It changed from what was originally, of course, a single family residence. It was divided earlier in the 20th century into 3 units. And my client owns a unit on the upper 2 floors. The building is a 3-story rectangular building. The lower right-hand view there is from across Pierrepont, with Hicks on your left and Pierrepont going to your right. On the would be the back side of the building, which is along Hicks Street, and shown in the middle picture is a 2-story structure, which we believe is original or very nearly contemporaneous to the original mansion. The project we're proposing is to place a terrace on top of that lower roof. And the terrace itself will not really be visible, but it will have a railing, perimeter railing that will be visible, of course, from Hicks Street. And that's sort of indicated with that line on the upper right-hand photograph. So we are going before the Landmarks Preservation Commission to, because of the visibility, to get approval for these visible features. As Chairperson Gordon said, there are a few ancillary things. We're converting, taking a window out and replacing it with a door, and doing, we have to do some modifications to a fire escape on the back side. But there's no brickwork or any work of that nature on the rest of the facade. All the work is taking place up in this this upper area up here. So the next page that I'll show you here is are some renderings of the proposed railing and terrace. So on the left, this is from a neighboring building a little higher up. And you can see the terrace is about 30 feet long, extends from the house 8 feet. And we are essentially taking a low slope roof that's not visible from the street, and we are flattening it a little bit more and placing a terrace system on top, terrace pavers on pedestals that, again, because of the line of sight, that itself is not visible. But we are setting this railing on top of essentially a sort of perimeter edge piece around the perimeter. It is set back slightly, as I will show you in some future drawings, slightly back from the existing cornice, which we are not touching. And then the railing itself, which we'll get into in a few moments, is a black painted, vertical balustrade with, at sort of the code mandated height, 3 feet 6 inches above the terrace. We have a little bit of a, again, these are renderings here, so we have a little bit of a zoom in one here to show you a little more detail. And one of the things I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about is the detailing of some of the elements. My next sheet here shows a number of other railings in Brooklyn Heights. Many of these railings, and these are all recent railings, or so railings that would have gone through a landmarks approval process. There are differing degrees of decoration in the railings. This project actually, which is right next door to our previous presenter, that is a recently built roof deck where you can see they made some effort, I think, to borrow from some of the other motifs in the original structure and work that into the railing design. But many other railings in the neighborhood are kept rather plain and simple, so as to sort of perhaps to distinguish themselves from the older, the original construction. I have one other image on the sheet, which will be relevant when you see our railing design. This is from the neighboring building at 200 Hicks, so it's a different style of building, but the railing there has these intermediary posts or panels, and we're doing something similar in our proposed design. So that's why I'm sharing this on this sheet. Before I show you our design, I just want to show you some of the other metalwork on the building. The most notable feature is on this Hicks Street side. There is this wrought iron railing and roof that, if not original to the house, would appear to date to the 19th century. And you can see it's quite decorative in a Gothic style. The building, as I mentioned, was divided, and actually more recently than the original division, a side entrance was added, which appears here. And in that particular case, a rather plain black iron rail was installed on that entrance. Again, where we're going to be working is up above that entrance up here. So I'm going to kind of go through this quickly. These are some overall context drawings that show where the work is taking place on that upper level. And then, excuse me, if I go to my next page, this is our standard sort of landmarks presentation drawing. So we have on the left here, we have the existing appearance of the house, of the building. I will note that this part of the house building, which we do also believe is original, was original. Well, it was original, but it was originally open. We believe it was once used as a sleeping porch. So this would have been a screened opening of some sort, not the windows and glass that are there now. So here is our railing, and so the approach is to design something that's in keeping a little bit with some of the original metalwork and level of detail in the building, but we are not trying to imitate or replicate 19th century ironwork, because we think it's important to distinguish a little bit between the original building and what we're doing. However, we feel that a sort of plain railing here would be inappropriate or sort of unsatisfactory. So you can see where we've broken the railing with these sort of pier elements that line up on the brick piers that are part of the rhythm of the house.
That's the fire escapes along the left.
Yeah, so this is the fire escape,
Yeah.
and because we are changing sort of how you get out, right now you get out through this window. This is the window that we're going to be enlarging to put a door into, and the terrace level is a little bit lower because we've lowered the roof. So yes, these are the portions, that upper portion, and that is actually shown also on my next sheet here, where we have these other views, the sort of straight on view from Hicks Street here, and then this back fire escape work existing on the left, proposed on the right. So finally, I have a little more detail. This is to explain the change to the roof and the level of the terrace. As you can see, we're trying to keep this terrace as low as possible while still maintaining enough pitch here for rainwater. And by keeping it low, we minimize what's seen above the original cornice that's staying. The application includes this change from a window to a door. The upper portion, we can go back to those renderings, the very upper portion of this opening, masonry opening, is visible from the street. We have talked with landmarks about doing a glazed door with a muntin there that sort of aligns with the other window muntins. This is a close-up detail of the railing and the sort of proposed decorative elements. And again, if we go back to the earlier features on the building, we are borrowing elements that already exist and working them into this post design. So there will be a sort of nod to the history of the building and the earlier work. I have one more slide here, which is really about the window. It's the window to door change. So I'm going to go back to the rendering drawings, and I'll stop my presentation there and take questions, and of course jump around if you would like me to on the presentation.
Okay. All right, thank you. I know the Brooklyn Heights Association had generally liked the work that you have presented. I was going to ask Daughtry, do you have Judy Stanton's summary in front of you?
Yes, thanks
By
to
chance?
Taya.
Right, okay.
Quote, most of our committee is okay with a roof deck on top of the existing porch, and in general, with making this fairly significant intervention to what's a very unique house in our historic district. Some of us thought the railing could have more elaboration if the applicant wanted to go further in that direction. We view the existing railing on the Hicks Street side entrance stoop as a cautionary against going the other direction. Its plainness seems to clash too much with the nearly adjacent ornate balcony, and we don't recommend anything like that.
Okay. All right, thank you, Daughtry. Are there any other questions or comments upon the presentation? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I second Esther.
Thank you, Esther. Okay, so it's 36 Pierrepont. It's been, you have a motion to approve and seconded. Are there any other questions or comments on the motion? Okay, I guess we'll, hearing none, I guess we'll just, okay, do you have the Russ in front of you, Daughtry? Or if not, okay, we'll just, we'll go with what we have here. Okay, I'll start it off. I favor the motion. I'll put me down for one.
I think I
Okay,
can do it,
and-
Carlson.
Okay,
Me, yes. Brian,
yeah, okay.
Howard,
Yes.
okay, Esther,
Yes.
Miss Richardson,
Yes.
Cheryl Williams,
Yes.
Bill,
No.
no,
Mm-mm.
Ernie's not here. Hazra,
Yes.
Kari,
Yes.
okay, and Judy, is she here?
I don't think she's come back yet.
Okay. Did I miss anyone? I apologize.
You missed John Doe.
John Dew,
Audrey, I'm here, but I abstained because I haven't heard, I didn't hear the discussion. I just tuned in. I don't even know what the motion is. Just put me down as abstention.
okay, thank you. John Dew,
Yes.
okay, now did I miss anyone?
I think you got everybody. And
Great,
just to let yeah, so it's 911, and just to let
911.
Judy know this, yeah, no, I come with 9, that's my count. And just to let Judy know, we this was a discussion on 36 Pierrepont Street, which we've approved. And we also had a good discussion, just to let you know, Judy, on 8 Montague Street. And we did have a good discussion on the matter of the trash bins, those big, those are the things that you were most concerned about. So we did have those, that was approved, but with concern, with you, and we expect your concerns on that. So, all right.
Thank you very much for the chance to present to you. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Bye.
thank you very much. You have, okay. All right, now we're gonna move over to Boerum Hill at 398 Pacific Street. And this is basically what they want to do is to double the size of, since they already have 400 Pacific Street, which is an empty lot, but they want to double the size of the property and also do some work at with the brownstone facing, with the details at the front, and also some work on the rooftop stairs and the bulkhead. So it'll be a doubling of the building as well as some work throughout the front of, I guess, the original 398 Pacific Street. So 398 Pacific, you can go ahead.
Please introduce yourself, please, for the minutes. Thanks.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you can hear us well, right?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great.
We see
my
you.
name- Yeah, my name is Shuming Tam. I'm the architect for my client. Interested in enlarging the existing building. Existing building is a brownstone, 398 Pacific Street. And there's an existing lot have been vacant for a long time. It's a vacant lot currently used as a parking area. What my client wants to do is to put a multi-family building right next to it. And the next slide, this is the first slide is the existing text photo of both 398 and 400 and compare with what it is now on the left side. The second slide is showing the context. The photograph on the left is showing the backyard, the building right next to it. And also showing the angle where the vacant lot is. The photograph on the right is actually the buildings behind the back. So we are showing the location of the property is inside the historic district. The plot plan is showing the upper side is showing the existing condition, and the lower part is showing the enlargement we intend to do. And this is like a block diagram showing where we are. So the block is pretty consistent. We are very much near the middle of the block. And this elevation drawing is showing the existing building elevations with the adjacent buildings. This slide is showing the proposed addition. We want to keep the similar character of the brownstone appearance. We are keeping the existing facade and just doing minor facade work to actually embellish the facade into what it was before. And the owner intends to keep the parking, so we will propose parking garage at the new addition. And the window patterns, we slightly alter it so that it can be easier to lay out the interior partitions. And then the next slide is the back, the current condition. The back is not really any of the significant elements. So the back, the next slide is showing that we make it a very simple facade at the back. We are taking advantage of bigger windows to make the units have a more of a modern amenities. This is a 3D model showing what the front and the back could look like. And also the material in the front will be chosen to be compatible with the brownstone material of the existing building. Next. We talk about the bulkhead. That is because of the building code requirement. We need to have a bulkhead for roof access. The next slide, we minimize the size of the bulkhead, and we have samples of the garage that have also at the nearby neighborhood, and we try to have a very similar character of the garage doors. And also the on-grade entrance, because of the handicap access requirement, we have to provide on-grade entrances for the handicap accessibility. And these are the samples in the neighborhood. We try to pretty much doing similar thing. This is the sidelight section showing across the street, and we are showing with the bulkhead. It's not going to be visible from the street level, and that's it. Yep. That is our presentation, and we are open to questions.
Okay, thank you. I should have, and I apologize. I see that it came up in the chat that there was someone from the community that has wished to express. I couldn't catch the name. So if you want to come off mute and give us your name and your affiliation, if you have one, and any concerns you have on 398, and I guess that over to 400 Pacific Street.
Yeah, I'm sorry that probably some audio problem in the beginning. My name is Shuming Tam.
Okay. Oh no. Well, yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, first, yes. But make sure we have your name properly as a presenter.
I'm the architect representing the owner. Her name is Cindy Zhao.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Public
All right.
question
But
came
I was,
from
yes.
The public question came from Miss Sarah Labuda.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, yes. Sorry, I was
Can
trying
you
to
spell
find
your
the
name?
raise. Yes,
Yeah.
Sarah with an H, Labuda, Labuda. So I wanted to raise concern about the rear extensions. They seem rather extensive based on the drawings and the plans, given kind of what is in the extensions in the area currently. And so I wanted to raise that as well as the garage as a community concern.
Definitely, yes. I think, in fact, that my impression from what I see is that the 400. This is your concerns with the 400 building as well, or the proposed
Correct.
400 building. Yes.
Both.
Yeah. Is the 400 building going to be the same, I guess, length as the 398? Is that going to go into the back any further than what you have at is 400 going to be larger and bigger than 398?
You mean the current 398?
Yeah, current three, yes.
We will show.
Or will 400 be the same size?
We'll show you the current plot plan, which is the drawing number 2, I guess. Yeah. As you can see, the existing and the proposed. The proposed is we have setback at the back. The building is 60 feet long, and the existing building is, can you move to the top? Yeah, sure. Is 50 feet long. So basically, we did not really increase the length of the, only for the first and the second floor. We have the roof terrace. So we respect the existing, facade at the back. And we have a lot of samples. Actually, Landmark gives us a lot of samples that we are not extending the building all the way to the top, but we have a lower portion extend 10 feet into the yard. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I think we did.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, and thank you for your question. This is to the person from the. All right, are there any questions or comments from committee members and board members? I see Ms. Stanton has her hand raised. I'll go to you first, and then I see Daughtry. But we'll start with Ms. Judy Stanton.
Let's see the ways.
There's a lot of detail missing in this presentation.
Uh-huh.
I'd like the applicant to clarify materials of the existing building. It's not absolutely clear to me from the photo. Is it brick? Is it brown? Said he was going to do a new material for the new building that would be appropriate, but I think we need to see a sample of exactly what the new material is going to be. Certainly should be explained in words. That's my first question. Second question has to do with the garage door, but I'll let Daughtry go and maybe I'll come back to my garage door question.
Well, do you want to answer the question regarding materials, please?
Yes. We are going to choose the same material as the existing 398 Pacific, which is a brownstone. And we are going to have the same color, the sandstone color that is also on the existing 398. So it is not entirely the resurrection of the building that was there before, but we are trying to create the addition that can be stand on its own with its own entrance, and we try to keep the similar proportion of the window and the details of the cornices.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Daughtry?
Oh, yeah, I haven't started yet.
Okay, all right.
I have several questions, so please bear with me, and I'd like it if you can answer them as we go along.
Mhm.
So the first question is, this is an enlargement, in essence, a doubling of the existing building, but you mentioned multifamily. So can you just clarify, this is going to be one building, multifamily? Are you breaking through the walls between the two buildings? How does that work?
It is itself a multi-family. We are keeping the floor levels of the existing building only at the cellar and the first floor. But itself behind the facade is a multi-family building.
How many units?
It's gonna be 8 units.
Yes, it will be 8 units.
That's for the 400 only, or that'll be for both?
For both,
This is one
totally. It is
Oh.
one building, yes.
It's one building.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And would you mind going back to the donut image so we can understand how the expansion of the footprint of the building, how it impacts that space?
You're talking about the backyard diagram, right?
Yes. The yellow, the one has all the footprints.
Did we put-
Yeah, go back. One more. Yes. Okay. So what you're showing now is the existing condition.
Mhm.
What you're proposing is an extension of the footprint of those two buildings into the donut, which, as you can see from this diagram, this is a very intact block in the center of the Boerum Hill Historic District.
Mhm.
So I want to raise that as a concern. I recognize that you're extending the building only 10 feet, if I'm correct in understanding your plan. But I do want to see that mention that is going to set a precedence. Wait, can you go back? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Look at the white space there.
Yeah.
We rarely ever see the donut this pure. So I'm going to raise that as a second concern.
Mhm.
And my third comment is if you can go back to the proposed rendering or a line drawing up from the front, the street front. Yeah, perfect. If you wouldn't mind zooming in there.
Yeah.
So it's curious to me that you're showing the new building with the 4x windows and the existing building, which you're trying to replicate, is a 3x.
Yes.
And that seems a little bit forced to me. And my final comment, and this is really the most important to me, I live in this neighborhood, is just because there is an existing parking lot there does not mean that that is the correct way to move forward. This block has no curb cuts except for this one. And I think it was a fluke that this is there. I think it's a real mistake to put a parking garage, to maintain parking and a curb cut there. The entire block on both north and south sides of this street is pristine and uncut. So I disapprove wholeheartedly of the garage. And now I'll turn it over to, back to you, Carlton. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Actually, I'm gonna give a chance to Yvette. You still there? I had your face on.
Yeah,
Yvette Richardson? Yeah,
Hi, good afternoon,
Yeah.
everyone. I mean, good evening.
yes.
Dorothy stole my thunder. So
She's always doing that.
I lowered my hand. I mean, exactly what Dorothy said. I think the four by windows seem forced. I am concerned about the extensions in the back. So it's actually, you know, and I think the garage looks out of place. So, and I wanted to understand, you said the new configuration will have 8 units and the current configuration has how many units right now? 398?
If it's a 3-family.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 families, you said?
Yeah, 3 to 4 family. I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
I see. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Yvette. Next, we'll go to Bill Flournoy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gordon. Yeah, I have a problem with the garage because I feel also that along the street, there's not really a garage like that with the curb cuts now that will become permanent. Okay, I also think it was a fluke. It looks like you're planning to actually alter both buildings, not just one. And I understand you have the right to actually build a new building, but it looks like you're gonna be altering both of them. I'm just kind of concerned also, as you're doing this construction, have you contacted your neighbors as far as your, pile driving and stuff like that? How far down you're going as far as preserving your building's neighbors on both sides? I was wondering if you've actually done outreach to them and let them know about that and actually have taken consideration in doing that type of work. And also, I'm a little concerned. It looks like you're turning two different, you're turning one building and a lot, and you look like you're almost building like an apartment building instead of 2-3 family houses. Okay, that's my concern. You can't respond.
Okay, it's up to you, if up to the presenter if you wish to respond. If not, I'll move on to the next our next committee member who has concerns, and I'll ask Ms. Ali, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm kind of like ambivalent about the garage because it's a vacant spot and therefore it's not supposed to really be exactly like what's there. So he does have some freedom to do it. But I think in keeping with the context of the neighborhood, the 4 windows, I agree with Audrey with the 4 windows, it should be 3. And at least on the first floor, or maybe they made the garage smaller and tried to replicate the type of stoop. That would probably make it look like one building, because it seems like they're trying to make one building out of the 2. So I guess you have a lot to take back. And I think Daughtry was talking about disapproving. If that's a motion, I would tend to second.
Okay, I don't know if she was ready to make a motion yet, but let's get the other, we still have people who have comments. Judy, your hand is still up. Do you wish to continue your questions? Judy Stanton?
Yes, I just would like the committee to be aware, I'm sure Daughtry is, and the rest of you are, we don't see any section drawings, so we're not really in a position to be evaluating this application as well as we could be. I second all of Daughtry's, the issues she raised, and particularly the point that she made about how rare it is just to have almost pure green space, green donut in the back of a block. You never see that at least in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. It's just highly unusual. And so we should be treading very, very softly here. I think I would hate to start a trend here. So thank you, Daughtry, for raising those issues. I agree with the other comments about the bay windows. And if there is a motion to disapprove as presented, I would second it too.
Okay. All right, still next, but I have Cheryl Williams. Ms. Williams, you can give us your comments or questions.
Sure. I concur regarding particularly the windows. And I saw it looked as though you have a door next to the garages. Is that what that is?
Yes.
And so that too seems.
Require handicap accessible and entrance.
That's the handicap entrance.
Yes.
Okay. But overall, I think the building, at least as it's rendered, does not seem to be one building, and it seems to be something of a hodgepodge, particularly with the 4 windows. So I don't know what leeway. Also, shortening windows, does the garage require, that you have those shortened windows in the front on the, I guess that would be the parlor floor. So those are just my comments.
Okay, thank you. I see Howard Collins, who's the head of the Boerum Hill Association. I saw him in the chat. Howard, if you want to comment, vote, not just by chat, but if you wish to participate.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Let me see if the camera's working. There we go. I was saying in the chat,
I see you.
Most of the garages that were cited are in the side streets, and so garage doors are problematic, especially on this. This block is very contiguous in its landmark status, both as Daughtry just pointed out in the rear, but in the front. So this looks like a sore thumb. And the materiality, if there's going to be garage doors, then we need to see a lot more information about the materiality of the doors and how they work. In the presentation, 3675 Pacific was cited. It's a block away, but it's a very unique building where there had actually been a carriage house, and the design there is not an amalgam of 2 different styles like this is. So I don't think it fits. I agree with Daughtry's comment. I let her lead. And then also, since we talked about the rear yard, one incursion into the backyard, one push-out construction will always begin, everyone will want to go another 10 or 20 feet. And this block is one of the few exceptions. Also, to the architect and hopefully to the owners, whatever happens in the backyard, the Boerum Hill Association is now encouraging people to plant actual trees of some sort in the rear yard, not just pave over. There are formal backyards with paving stones and small shrubs to encourage or to maintain some privacy between your neighbors. It doesn't have to be a 40-foot tree, but something that gives a little yield. And also the backyards are referred to as the lungs of the neighborhood. The more trees we lose, the more the lungs are gone. So thank you for my time.
Thank you, Howard. I see an Evan Silver. I know you're not on our committee or on the board, I can give you, tell me who you are and your nature of your concern.
I appreciate it. No, I'm not on the committee, but I am a concerned resident that lives on the block. I just wanted to raise that about
What's
a week
your
ago.
address, just so, yeah, just so we, in fact, that's always nice to know. If you can, tell us what your address is.
Oh yeah, we're next door at 402 Pacific Street.
Oh, yes, that's very important.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to raise the concern of whether it was last week or the week before, there was a fire at 398 Pacific Street. Not sure the nature of the fire exactly, but just wanted to raise the concern as not totally sure if it's the safest place for development site, and just wanted to put that out there on the record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Silver. Okay, I think are there any other further comments or questions from committee members and board members? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to disapprove.
A motion to disapprove in its entirety?
Yes.
Second.
The motion. Are you seconding it, Bill?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we have a motion to disapprove. So if we say yes, it'll be to disapprove the application.
Can I,
make that? Yeah,
sorry,
go
just-
ahead.
I'm trying to make this,
Daughtry.
I'm trying to learn how to be the most productive, and before we vote, I just wanna, there were a lot of very specific comments that came out of this discussion from both committee and community members. So I'm just want us to think if there's, any recommendations that we can make to the applicant. I'm looking at our shortcut on motions, and it just looks like, one of the precautions in recommending disapproval entirely, rather than say recommending disapproval with conditions, is that it sometimes has the same outcome as a no motion, which means we don't really have a chance to have input into what we would accept. So I just wanted to say that.
I was actually thinking, Daughtry, that perhaps we could, if there's a motion, since there's a motion to disapprove, even if it's in entirety, we could still add that the architect may wish to consult with Howard Collins of the Boerum Hill Association and with the neighbors in general to get more information and more detail as to the problems that are faced. And I think that's one way to try to perhaps that we still would have, that the community would still have some input, even though there's a lot of concerns and you have a lot of concerns, especially with the garages and with the donut and the curb cuts. I think it's perhaps that instead of just simply saying no, I think we could have a motion, and I would ask the maker of the motion, and Judy Stanton, if she wishes to add to it or go with a condition that the architect and applicants consult with the community people, with Howard Collins and with others, so that perhaps something better will come out of this.
Yeah, I'm prepared to amend my motion to say we disapprove with a recommendation that the applicant meet with the Boerum Hill Association and follow their suggestions as to how to make the project more in keeping with the Boerum Hill Historic District. I would strongly object to creating a new addition in this location. But that I would like my motion to state that the community board disapproves an addition to this building, either building in this application. I think that is a big mistake. So is that enough, or I can withdraw my motion and let someone else?
That's okay. I think you've accepted the amendment. Are there any questions or comments from committee members?
Just a clarification, Judy, when you say you strongly disapprove the addition, it's the rear addition of 10 feet?
It's the rear addition. I don't think there should be. I don't think we should open a Pandora's box of creating an opportunity here for everyone else on the block, which of course, that will be the immediate result, is you'll see people throughout that block proposing rear yard additions, and and the community board will be responsible for opening up the, or harming the donut, so to speak.
Judy, would you also include the garage?
Oh, yes, yeah, thank you, Bill.
And
So,
the 4 windows.
so we disapprove the application with a because we think there should be no rear yard addition added to either building. We think that there should not be a garage introduced into this block, and that there should be 3 windows rather than 4 in the front facade on the first, at least the first 2 levels.
Ms. Stanton, if those conditions were met, would that change your opinion to an approval?
No.
Okay.
The community, no, this applicant has come to us with very insufficient material detail, and we shouldn't approve it unless he comes back with a lot more information. I think that would be murky if we were to approve it, just based on our.
So I think we've laid out we've laid everything out. Are there any further questions or comments?
So may I just try to clarify or let me be clear, make sure that I'm clear about what is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
The motion is to disapprove I don't know how to say this. Taya, how do I say this? No rear yard to addition to either building, no garage, and 3, not 4 windows on the front facade. Is that a disapproval with conditions?
Not quite. So
yeah, because
Ms. Stanton is saying that she disapproves for reasons A, B, C, and even if those, that's why I asked the clarifying question, if those conditions were met, would that change your decision to an approval? And she stated no.
I think all we're doing is being a little clearer as to why we are disapproving. And I think our disapproval should stand. I'm not willing to amend my motion to retract approval, and I think it's a slippery slope to have it read like approval if they do the following things. We're not going to redesign this building for this applicant. We're disapproving what was presented to us, and we're giving some reasons to help the commission understand why we've disapproved it. And don't forget
that clarifies. Yeah, I just want to make sure does that clarify it for you, Daughtry?
I believe that the reason that there's continuing request for clarification is because, to Ms. Karstaffen's point, if the committee recommends disapproval and the board ratifies that recommendation, then our disapproval will be noted by the LPC. However, that does not include, it is a non-binding advisory memo. So that does not, a disapproval from a community board does not imply any statement or request for change. Which is why sometimes approval with conditions can be a stronger position.
Right. I think in this instance, this is what the committee appears to go for. They want to have a disapproval.
Yes.
Well, that's what's on the table, Carlton. So I think you need to call the vote, or I need to call the vote.
I was just about to say that.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So the motion on the table is to approve the application entirely for the reasons we've discussed.
It's a disapproval.
Disapprove the presentation, the application in its entirety. Carlton?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, me? No.
In favor of the motion.
Okay.
I mean, let me just make it clear. If you vote yes on the application, on the motion, you are disapproving the presentation. If you say no, you're not disapproving. I just want to make that clear.
Okay. Brian?
So I will vote yes for disapproval.
Brian votes no.
Esther,
No.
Yvette,
Yes.
Miss Williams,
Yes.
okay, Bill,
Yes, I feel this is totally inappropriate.
Hazra,
Yeah.
Kari,
Yes.
okay, John Doe,
Abstain.
and Judy.
Yes.
Okay. 7 yeses, 3 noes, and 1 abstain.
That's my count.
Motion
Okay, so,
to disapprove
yeah.
passes.
right, so again, I would suggest that the architect and the applicants and the people who wish to, sit down and talk with Mr. Collins and with people in the neighborhood, and perhaps something maybe worked out, at least something that's more, that could be met with more approval.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, now I'll go over to the chair's report. I have a few quick things that I thought of interest, just I'll try to move them as quickly as possible. Over at I think it's 490 Grand Avenue in Clinton Hill by Fulton Street, there was is a building, approximately 12-story buildings being built. I read that it's been topped off. So that's one that's coming along. We had I would say quite a while ago, maybe about a year ago, 2 years ago, we approved 90 Sand Street, which was done by breaking ground for the home, well, people of homeless and need a place to live, or people with needs. And that has recently opened. It's the one all the way over, used to be a former Jehovah's Witness building, a large building over by Sands near the Brooklyn Bridge. That has now opened, and that's some good news. Oh yes, and I have this. Yes, again, I'm probably the last person to read newspapers, and this one is, yeah.
Interrupt you to say that the organization that is managing 90 Sands is Common Ground.
Common Ground? All right, all right, okay. All righty, thank you. All right, I may have made a mistake on that, but it's, we're glad to see that they're up and working. This is one from the New York Times from October 21st, from the Metropolitan section, page 4. And it's what they call it, Canada 50 million makeover, adult office park cool. And what it is, it's a good summary or history of what was once called a Metrotech or Brooklyn Metrotech. It's now going to be called Brooklyn Commons, and it's worth, if you can track it down, a read, because it does give a good history for those who weren't that familiar, who've come into the neighborhood more recently, as to what was the history of building what was Metrotech, what's now going to be called Brooklyn Commons, and what the plans are for the future. So that's a nice one to read. This is not even in Brooklyn, but I thought I would bring it up. This is over in Greenwich Village in Manhattan. There is a move to tear down a 3-story historic building, about 100 years old, at 14 Gay Street. The Landmarks Preservation Commission has approved that one, and it's being fought over by some of the community groups, especially one, Village Preservation. The house has a lot of history, especially because it was the residence of Ruth McKinney. Ruth McKinney was one of the people who wrote the book My Sister Eileen, My sister Eileen became the inspiration for the musical that Leonard Bernstein did called Wonderful Town. So it's been a place of history and of interest. They're trying to see if they can keep that particular property, 14 Gay Street in Greenwich Village, alive and hopefully standing. It's not been, work there has not been done that should have been done, but at least hopefully it's something that will survive. Okay, now we'll go over to other, for committee, for anybody else who has any comments. I know in this instance, John Doe was asked first, so I'll give John Doe a couple of minutes to address his concerns.
Mr.
Is John
Doe,
Doe?
you're muted.
Is that better?
Hello.
We hear you.
Okay.
We see
For the
you.
newer members, downtown Brooklyn was rezoned, more like upzoned in 2004. During the era prior to that, the downtown Brooklyn area was a low-income community of color. That rezoning has given us what we see downtown Brooklyn today. And there is no area downtown Brooklyn that is associated with low income. We don't know what happened to all those folk that live downtown Brooklyn. They were rezoned out. We have the highest population we've ever had in the city of New York. When we listen to the development that comes in for affordable housing, it is not affordable for the community in which it is being built almost on any level at any time. 100% AMI has nothing to do with the communities that the housing is being built in. 80% AMI, 60% AMI is still not affordable. So city policy has created the homeless population that we are experiencing today. Community Board 2 should look to begin to address this problem real time. We've had this discussion before. Affordable housing should be eliminated and replaced with community affordable housing. Therefore, the developers have to look to what's affordable in the community. The AMI that we are working with, $100 and some odd $1,000 salary, doesn't work. At what point are we going to actually address affordable housing? The 60% that was discussed tonight earlier, it sounds good. Is it affordable in the community? We have actually brought gentrification to Community Board 2, and we haven't actually begun to address it. So, Mr. Gordon, I'm recommending that the committee draft some kind of letter that says to everyone involved that we need to bring community affordable housing. We got to get rid of affordable because you can attach anything to it that you want. If you have to look at what's happening in the community, you get a better result. And given that a lot of the gentrification in the city started with Community Board 2, it would be appropriate for Community Board 2 to act to try to rectify what the city has installed that has caused this homeless population. You talked tonight about 90 Sand Street, all these affordable housing for homeless people are a result of city policy. I think we have to be clear about that. There is a direct line. How do we begin to address affordability in Community District 2? I'm recommending we change it to community affordability and get rid of this AMI, which has no relevance whatsoever, but it's what the developers are told to use. That causes homelessness. That's enough for tonight, Mr. Gordon, and Landmarks and Land Use Committee.
I have something that's related.
Go ahead, George.
Okay. So John, it's funny that you bring this up. You know, this is never far from, I'm sure, all of our minds. And as you know, some of us have tried to undertake an analysis of what's happening in Brooklyn as it relates to the standards that are set forth by the federal government. So I'm going to share something, and I'm happy to share it in the link that was issued by just last week, actually, November of 2022, by the New York Housing Conference. So I'm just going to share my screen, Taya, if you can let me. And it basically talks exactly about this. And it's a call to arms for city agencies to stop the BS and to start to really address the widening gap between AMIs and how they're set and what New Yorkers are really paying for rents. So the highlights are mine. I won't read it word for word, but we know that the AMI is set by the federal government, and the catchment area, which is like the area that they analyze, is huge and includes northern New Jersey, Westchester County, even a county in Pennsylvania. And that's not fair to New Yorkers who have lower wage jobs, even sort of middle wage jobs. It's not affordable. So this document, which, you know, this is a very respected nonprofit organization, is basically saying to the city, you've got to do something about this, to John's point. And it talks about how the widening income gap between the AMIs, how much they rise every year, and how much wages rise is getting further and further apart. So people are getting further and further away from being able to actually afford anything that is called affordable housing in New York. So I'm happy to share this. And I just wanted to remind us all that Bill Flournoy and I know a number of people historically on this committee and also on the community board in general have been looking at AMI, and we discovered sort of the real bottom line is that in Brooklyn, the AMIs are approximately 57% of what the federal's AMI levels are. So the reality is we're working with half as much money. And if you try to ensure that people who live in our district aren't rent burdened, then that calculation is very, very different than what the housing agencies are showing. And now other people are starting to say the same thing. So I just wanted to share this. I'm happy to send it to Taya and maybe we can distribute it. It's only 4 pages, so it's not tech heavy, but it just basically says exactly what John's been saying. So I just wanted to share that. Thanks.
Thank you for that,
Daughtry. Yeah. Let me go over to
Mr.
Gordon. Well, let me give Esther a chance and then it will go to everyone.
Thank you, Daughtry. I'm basically gonna say something real quick. There's people in this community that makes $50,000, $40,000 a year. Now with the new buildings, they can't afford it at all. It starts with 60%. 60% is too much for somebody that's making $50,000. And they go by the gross $50,000. You're not bringing home $50,000. So, I mean, I'm just repeating what everybody knows. The AMIs is too high. Any project that come before us that start with 60, I'm saying no to. I know 30 now is off the table. It seems like nobody's doing 30%. So there's a lot of homelessness with people sleeping on other people's couches. You know, everybody's not street homeless, but people are doubling up. That's it.
Thank you, Esther. Okay, we'll go over to Bill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gordon. Daughtry, these numbers are the exact numbers we've been talking about the entire time. These are the numbers. I'm glad someone finally started to hear us because we've been pushing this for like 5 years, that they have to change the federal numbers to actually reflect the actual income, not of downtown Brooklyn, but of Brooklyn as a whole. And what they've been doing basically is they're basing AMI on numbers that are unrealistic to the people who live in the borough. And it's been insane. And we've been pushing and pushing those individuals out. And as we push them out, the income levels increase. When these realtors, When they come in here, okay, the developers, and they say, listen, we're making affordable housing, they're making affordable housing for the individuals who have replaced the individuals who were originally living here. It's now affordable to the people who have moved from the Upper East Side to downtown Brooklyn. The individuals are making at least $120,000 to $200,000 a year. The buildings across from me are going for $5,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. When I first moved into downtown Brooklyn, there were only maybe 120 families, tops, and they were all older individuals who are basically moving into Social Security. Those individuals are all gone. This is ridiculous. This is totally, and now the people who have replaced them are now living in the the homeless shelters. I shouldn't call them shelters. The homeless institutions are now where these individuals are now living. And that's not right. That's not right. And I just wanted to make a comment about that because we've been pushing this for 5 years. And at this point in time, with this document behind us, we should back this document and ask you to say something along those lines. I'm going to leave it up to you, Mr. Gordon, to decide what you want to do going forward. But this is a document that actually institutionalizes what we've been saying all along. It gives us merit.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Brian Howland?
So the chair asked for volunteers to speak with the borough board, or not to be on the borough board going forward. And I feel like we have this discussion repeatedly, but we've reached sort of the end of what we can say new on the subject. Not that there's a value in it, but that we're all kind of in agreement here. I was hoping that whomever ended up being picked as representative to the borough board, that there'd be an opportunity there to speak with members of other boards to see if we could get some sort of joint letter or resolution asking for action to be taken on using these numbers. But I feel like we've sort of hit a limit of like what change we think that we can expect to effect on our own here.
I understand. Okay, Judy Stanton?
Yes, I was going to ask that very strategy question as to what would be the process, the next step, and Brian's hit on it. But is it so formal within the community board's structures that not something you do to reach out? Could Taya reach out to other district managers to try to organize a coalition of community boards that are like-minded? Or is it too informal? I mean, community groups don't have any trouble of contacting each other on the phone or by email and organizing, such as the BQE coalition that the Brooklyn Heights Association, together with a lot of groups, formed. Why can't the community boards do the same thing so you have a bit of a power structure for approaching? Sounds like federal legislation is the kind of legislation that's going to be required at the federal level rather than the state level. I don't know. That's a question. I don't know. But if we're combating guidelines set by HUD, then I'm sure we would have a very sympathetic ear in Nydia Velasquez, who no longer represents Brooklyn Heights, but I don't know if she still represents any part of community board too. But we have Dan Goldman, and we have who else do we have? We should go to our federal legislators, but in a stronger group. And I think that community boards need to organize, however that's done.
Okay, thank you, Judy. My suggestion, probably, we have a lot of good suggestions, and I think what we can do over the next month is that perhaps we can have something that we could possibly begin towards the end of this year, of calendar year, and into the new year, is put your ideas, you can, I just say, use our email capacity to send each other emails as to what ideas are. I like to see them as well. Perhaps we can compile or consolidate the best portions of it and put it into one, let's say, bucket or document, so that we can then bring it up. So, we have there's some good ideas. I think we can, let's communicate with each other. I think we have all our emails. I know I have, if you don't have emails, let me know. Usually everybody has my email. And we can, let's say by December, perhaps we can put together something that we can then pass on to the board itself, up to Lenny, and then hopefully going into the borough board, so that perhaps we have something that we can say, this is the problem. And as Taya says, we're welcome to try to present that. So I think we have some good ideas. Let's see if we can pull those together. I'd
Mr.
like to
Gordon,
go over to, yeah.
before you do that, I just have to add this. With the upzoning of downtown Brooklyn, Community Board 2 submitted 3 community benefits, a lot of community benefits, but 3 of them were very important to the community. And I'm going to give you the 3 of them because none of them have been realized. It was to make every station ADA compliant. Doesn't make a difference who's responsible. With the upzoning, they had to figure it out. That did not happen. Second, under the Duffield Street Park was supposed to be a 400-car parking garage so that we could put all of the permit parkers that permeate downtown Brooklyn, we get them off the streets. There would be this one place where all permit parkers were going to be required to move to park their cars if they come to work. We understand that a lot of these jobs down here come with a permit that allows workers, judges, and the like to park on the streets. We were going to get them off. The third item we asked for was a public bathroom. We didn't get that. So there you have it. We got a lot of homelessness and none of the community benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I just wanted to move over to the community forum to allow non-board members, non-committee members, if there's still any who wish to speak for a couple of minutes. I'd like to open that up right now to give a chance to people who are not on the committee, but still are interested, have something they wish to contribute to about either the work we've done tonight or anything else in our area, to please, this is your chance.
Good evening, everybody. Community Board 2, this is Renee Collymore, and to the chair, thank you for your leadership, and to all of you, John Dew, thank you for being consistent in your advocacy for this community. I remember when, I didn't get on to talk about this, but thank you, John, for saying that about the upzoning. And it started with the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership and the Downtown Brooklyn Plan. And so my stance on that is, yes, it is, the homelessness is based on the public policy that was set. And I have to say that, for me, I blame the city council members who were, from that time until now, every time there is an alleged community benefits agreement, they're all shams. I've been around a long time. I've lived in this district all of my life. My family, we are 4 generations deep here. I remember when this took place and the total destruction of Myrtle Avenue with all of those small stores across from Fort Greene Public Housing. And so that was the beginning. And it just came upward, and then now it's just taken over Brooklyn. And so we are in a space here where we have always said the same ones, like, affordable for who, affordable for who. However, the city council members understood that it was not affordable for us, each and every one of them. And they did nothing but exacerbate and continue the cycle of gentrification. So I blame them. And I blame also leaders or residents who've been here for years and have not spoken up until now. I blame, because we have to stand together. We know what's going on, and then we have to hold people accountable. But let me just stop there on that. Thank you, John Dew. Now, over the weekend and for the past week, I've been talking about the 5G towers, and I hope that you all may have read some of the articles going up about that. I was interviewed in the New York Times recently, and Fox 5 News called me. They came to interview me about the 5G tower that's in our district here. And there's, as you may know or have seen, it is at Myrtle Avenue and Vanderbilt. And there's also another one at Vanderbilt, Putnam Avenue and Bedford Avenue. The 5G towers poses a health risk. And there are many scientists and environmentalists who have said that these towers, the health risks are like brain damage, and they can affect the development of embryos and fetuses and newborns, heart palpitations, sleep changes, cancer, and so much more. If you ever go right in front of the Payomatic on Myrtle and Vanderbilt, you'll see a big, tall, huge antenna. That is the tower. And this 5G tower is just really not any more faster than the 4G tower. And they are installing 2,000 of these across the city. And they are saying that, and they don't even need a public notice or public hearings. And so when you're looking at this type of high radio frequency going on right in front of the window, especially on Vanderbilt and Myrtle, is right in front of someone's window. This is so much radiation and power going inside, harming these people, and not just the people who live there, but so many of us who live in the immediate area. These waves travel many miles. And so we need to be concerned about this. And we received notice of 4 additional towers plans for the district, which we share. Oh, well, thank you for that, Taya. Thank you. And please let me know about that. We need to be concerned. I'm reaching out to the mayor because I want that removed on that Vanderbilt and Myrtle. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, and I know this is not a building going up, but I came here tonight and every platform that I can to share with you, because they are digging into the ground, so that's land. And so we need to have a voice on this, and hopefully that we could band together. And I was just on a Univision, the Hispanic station, just 2 days ago. They also came to talk to me about this, and because a lot of folks are not even aware. I just happened to stop by some neighbors I saw sitting outside. I went to introduce myself, and we started talking. They said, "Ms. Collymore, we need to be talking about that." And I turned around that one night, and I never even saw the tower as big as it was. I didn't even saw it, and then I didn't see it. And when I looked up, I couldn't believe it. So take a look, and if you see any around the area, maybe we should do, have a community meeting, and which I'm planning to do so, as well as for our block association. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, although folks want cell phone service, but it's a complicated matter, but yes, thank you. Any other from the community? Hearing none. Any new business?
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Gordon, the Landmarks Land Use Committee needs to have a song that we sing at the end of every meeting. So we need somebody to, Mr. Flournoy should make up some cogent words for Brooklyn Community Board 2's Landmark and Land Use Committee.
I got one.
Go
Hell's
ahead.
bells. Hell's bells.
Hell's bells.
No.
Hell's bells. That's the best.
Can I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes,
Second.
seconded. All.
Thank
so
you.
everybody have
Thank you.
Thanksgiving's coming up, so
Happy
Glory.
Thanksgiving.
And happy birthday,
Thanksgiving.
Bill Flournoy. Bill Flournoy had a 21 years plus birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
That's right.
It's not
Yes.
me, it's my son. Okay, my son turned 21. I'm not 21. I haven't seen 21 in a couple of decades.